Alright guys, I haven't done a Killian video in so long. I think those of you who have been following me for a while, you know my issues with the brand. But I always mention in my videos, they do create some amazing boozy fragrances. And today I'm talking about two latest boozy or liqueur inspired fragrances. We've got a flanker to the very popular Angel Share called Angel Share Paradis. That's the first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about. And then also I'm going to talk to you about Old Fashioned. Two boozy liqueur inspired fragrances. If you're curious to learn about these, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian talking to you about Killian Fragrances by Killian. Is a house I discovered in 2012 at Saks Fifth Avenue. Instantly fell in love with several of their fragrances. The very first fragrance I bought from the brand, Straight to Heaven. So that was the first fragrance I fell in love with, which was another boozy fragrance with rum and fruits and patchouli and earthy notes and things like that. It was an amazing fragrance when I first got into the game. But I've kind of fallen out of love with the fragrances, and I always complain that the fragrances are not too strong because for me they're just a little weak, but they do have great smells. They do create great fragrances, and they're gourmands, and mostly their boozy fragrances are some of my favorites. And I'm a big fan of boozy fragrances. I think it's because of boozy fragrances that I started enjoying spirits, and I was never a spirits drinker. Go figure that one out. But the first fragrance I want to talk to you about is Angel Share Paradis. It's the latest fragrance from the house. It's also, I believe, the first extract. It's an Extrait de Parfum fragrance. Very highly priced. Very expensive, I should say. It's 50 ml for $385, so it's quite pricey for this fragrance. And 100 ml of a refill of this is $460. But obviously, the original bottle is the beautiful bottle. The refill just comes in a boring glass bottle that's a disposable once it's, done. So it's basically to refill your original bottle. But if you don't want to pay that much for a 50 ml, you can always get a 100 ml for less than double the price of the 50 ml bottle. So Angel Share, the original, has been very popular. I'm assuming it's the most popular fragrance from the house of Killian, and it launched during the height of the pandemic, created by a Givaudan perfumer by the name of Benoist Lapouza, who's also created the flanker to it, Angel Share Paradis. Now, if you've gotten your nose on Paradis version of Angel Share, let me know, put a comment down below. If you haven't, are you a fan of the original Angel Share? So Angel Share Paradis has notes of raspberry liqueur, cognac, Oakmoss Absolute, Praline Accord, Tonka Bean Absolute, Bulgarian Rose, and I do get spices. I get some warm spices, but not as much as the original Angel Share, and I'll tell you why. So I had high hopes for this one. One of the problems I've had with the original Angel Share is the fact that it's kind of weak on me. Well, this definitely kills that complaint. This is super intense, very long lasting, but I think they've overdone it with the intensity, because when I wear this one, I can't smell anything. I go nose blind. And people around me are telling me, are you wearing something boozy? Are you wearing something with cherries? They're telling me that it's pretty strong. But for me, it's just quite overwhelming with how it kind of kills my sense of smell. And I hardly smell anything. Now, they're not mentioning anything in there that's amber focused, but for me, I mean, they do mention it in their description, but not in the notes breakdown. And I get a major dosage of something ambroxan-like here. Something very intense like ambroxan, which comes off very sharp and overwhelming, and basically kind of takes over and kind of tones down all the other notes that are in here. So for me, it doesn't smell like the original Angel Share. This is something completely new. And I thought, since they're giving us an Extrait de Parfum, and it's called Paradis, I thought maybe this is the kind of flanker they're doing. And so we're going to get something more intense. But as soon as I saw the raspberry liqueur, I was like, the original didn't have that, so where is this coming from? So yeah, to me, Angel Share Paradis doesn't smell like Angel Share the original. It's its own unique fragrance. It could be potentially inspired by the original, or could have traces of the original in the notes. But for me, it's a kind of a unique and original fragrance not reminding me of the original Angel Share. And the original Angel Share, to me, that did remind me of something like Wajan or Hermes Ambre Narguilé. It's kind of in that kind of ballpark of gourmandesque fragrances, whereas Angel Share took it into a boozy direction, hinting at those kind of fragrances. So here we are with Angel Share Paradis, though. I've worn this several times. I can smell it, don't get me wrong. It's not like I can't smell it. But it is so overdosed with the intense amber base that's in here. It's quite screechy and nose blinding for sure. It just completely, like, it's just super intense, which I'm not really complaining about super intense fragrances here, but I kind of am, because I like intense fragrances, but I also don't want my nose or sense of smell to be blown away that I can't smell anything. I want to smell my fragrance, because in the end, I like smelling fragrances, absolutely love them. But I just can't smell it. But in the end, again, also, I don't think this is as good as the original Angel Share. I really love the original Angel Share. My only complaint was it's a bit weak on me, but they've twisted it around and changed the formula up and gave us something completely different, and something so super potent that makes me smell hardly anything except for these like ambery kind of molecules that are in here. Again, they don't mention amber, but when I wear this one, it comes off very sharp. It comes off kind of screechy. Since it's a Givaudan perfumer, Benoist Lapouza, maybe they're using ambrofix in the base to create a kind of a very molecular ambery wear. It could also be the fact that there's Oakmoss Absolute in here, and it could be like a synthetic type of an Oakmoss to give you that kind of an effect. I don't know what they're using, but the wearing experience is like that. So between the two Angel Shares, I prefer Angel Share the original. The Paradis is just super, super intense, and not the DNA that I was preferring. The raspberry liqueur kind of, I don't know, it's not my favorite. The raspberry liqueur idea was a bit of a disappointment. They should have just given us something a lot more intense in the style of the original Angel Share, so we would have had what we're familiar with, but a more potent variety of it. But let me know your thoughts, guys. How are you experiencing Angel Share Paradis? Are you getting the same thing that I'm getting? Do you enjoy it more than the original Angel Share? Did you ever end up enjoying the original Angel Share, or did you kind of skip on it because it was acting a bit light, like I've complained about it? I know some people say, you know, Killian fragrances are super potent on them. I don't get that experience. Again, they have some amazing boozy and gourmandesque fragrances, but everything seems to be kind of on the light side. It doesn't have oomph or depth. They wear a bit thin, but amazing smells. But those are my thoughts on Angel Share Paradis and how it compares to the original, where is it? The original Angel Share. Do let me know your thoughts on it. Now here on the other hand though, Old Fashioned, the fragrance that launched last August, I believe, is super, super delicious and amazing. I absolutely love this stuff, and it has become one of my favorite boozy style fragrances, or liqueur inspired fragrances. So when I was traveling Europe in August in London, I discovered Old Fashioned at the Killian booth or little store upstairs in Harrods salon. There I tested it out. I instantly fell in love with how great it smelled. I even posted about it on Instagram. And since then I've been wanting to get a bottle. I finally ordered one at a discounter, and I saved about because it's 50 ml for $275. So I've saved about $50 off on this one. So it was around $227, I believe. But it does also come in 100 ml for $415. I wish I got the 100 ml because I really love this stuff. You can also get a refill for this 100 ml for $330. So Old Fashioned is created by Sidonie Lancesseur, who is a longtime collaborator over at Killian. She works at Robertet, and she's created a lot of fragrances for Killian. I believe Straight to Heaven was created by Sidonie Lancesseur. She does some great work. I really enjoy some of her creations, and again, she works at Robertet, and they have access to some amazing fragrances. Old Fashioned has notes of Wheat Absolute, Immortelle or Everlasting Flower, Davana, Tolu Balsam, Styrax, and Cedar. So they're not using any boozy or liqueur notes in this. They're basically creating a whiskey accord with the notes that I just told you about. So that Davana note here is quite key. So Davana was also featured in 54, my fragrance collaboration with Juicebox. So that fragrance is boozy, and there is a boozy touch with Davana. There's also quite a bit of herbal touch here as well with the Immortelle note. The Immortelle note comes off very herbal, although Davana is also an herb, but when you smell the Davana Absolute, there's definitely a fruitiness there and also like booziness for sure. It's a super delicious ingredient. I've grown to really, really enjoy it, and I was so grateful to have been able to use it in 54. And it totally shines and makes this fragrance come alive with the wearing experience. So for me, the Immortelle is so pronounced. When you're wearing it, it does act grassy and herbal. So if you've ever experienced any Immortelle fragrances, they're different all the time. Here, they're bringing out its sweeter touches, but not necessarily caramelized or brown sugar, which is sometimes how they can use the Immortelle to kind of bring out those accords or facets. But what they've done here is bring out its herbal qualities and some slight sweetness, and mixing it up with all the other fragrances, it creates for an amazing experience. So amazing that they can do things like this and create an uber boozy fragrance without even using a boozy note. And as I said, the Davana does have boozy qualities to it, but it's not a boozy note. It's basically an herb. The Davana is part of the Artemisia family, and it's an ingredient that I'm absolutely obsessed with. Recently, I bought some of the Absolute or the oil, and I've been smelling it and kind of learning the smell. And it's interesting how I can recognize the smell now and how it is in 54 and how it is here in Old Fashioned as well. So stay tuned for a Davana focused video as well in the future, because again, as I said, I'm totally obsessed with this, and also I want to teach you guys a little bit about what Davana is and where it can be found in fragrances. It's a great ingredient. In fact, sometimes in Northern California when I'm traveling around, I can spot the actual herb growing on the coast and places like that. I pick it and, you know, rub my hands around it, and it leaves its most amazing smell on my hands. So it's an amazing ingredient, kind of herbal, but also boozy, and fruitiness comes in as well. But going back to Old Fashioned, one of the best fragrances ever. In fact, this might be my favorite Sidonie Lancesseur fragrance. It's great from start to finish. It's super, super delicious and uber boozy. And when this was first announced, I thought the name might be a bit not good because people might not appeal to the name, because in the end I believe it is inspired by an Old Fashioned, the cocktail that utilizes whiskey. That's why there's a whiskey accord here. But you know, most people that don't drink don't know that Old Fashions exist as a liqueur or a cocktail. But yeah, I think they've done an amazing job here. In fact, I feel like this is my favorite liqueur-inspired fragrance now from the House of Killian. It's super, super delicious. And unfortunately, I waited so long to buy this. I bought it just after the holidays, and I should have featured it in as one of the best releases from 2024. If you haven't gotten your nose on this, please do. It's amazing. The only other thing I should mention is, even though this acts boozy, remember, there's a whiskey accord created. You're really going to notice the wheat, however wheat the experience is. Because when you've actually picked wheat, the dry, it's kind of similar idea with Immortelle. There's a dry, herbal, kind of dusty, grainy kind of quality to it. And they're utilizing not only wheat, they're also utilizing Immortelle or everlasting flower. You really experience that in the fragrance, even though it's giving you this kind of a boozy effect. But to me, this is a fantastic offering. Again, amazing that they can make a boozy fragrance from ingredients that are not boozy themselves, which is a great thing in perfumery. You can trick somebody to thinking it smells like something, but they're not using that thing at all, which again, as I said, it's amazing here. And Sidonie Lancesseur did an amazing job on this. Old Fashioned is so, so good, guys. If you haven't gotten your nose on it, please do. I highly, highly recommend it. And between the two, Angel Share Paradis and Old Fashioned, I really recommend Old Fashioned. It's, like I said, it's so super amazing, and the smell is super fantastic. I can get drunk off of wearing this stuff because it's really, really great. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. Old Fashioned and, of course, Angel Share Paradis. Let me know which one of these is better for you. I mean, is Angel Share Paradis the one that wins your heart? I mean, again, for me, Angel Share Paradis is so super strong. It's almost like nose blinding. Also, every ingredient in it is muted, but the ambery touches are just blown kind of. So it kind of like, you know, makes my nose not pick up everything else except for this big amber bomb. But maybe you don't experience that. Maybe it's just my chemistry that's giving me this experience. Do add a comment below so I can find out. And also do let me know what your thoughts are on Old Fashioned. Do you think it's one of the best as well? Add a comment below. Otherwise, guys, thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.